Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Chaf Daled Amud Aleph 24a of Maseches Taanis, and we are on the second to last line of the page, the beginning of that line. The Gemara says, Rabba Gazar Taanisa. Rabba decreed a fast for rain. Some actually have a girsa that it wasn't Rabba, but it was Rava. Or in any event, so we'll go with Rabba for our purposes. Rabba decreed a fast. Ba'irachami, he prayed for mercy. V'lo asa mitra, and the rain did not come. Amrulei, so they said to him, V'ha Rav Yehuda, but what about Rav Yehuda? The other Amora, or earlier Amora, ki hava gazar ta'anisa, when he would decree a fast, asa mitra, rain would come. So they said, Rabbi, you don't really compare to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda, whenever he would decree a fast, rain would come. Amar lahu, so Rabbi said, my avid, what can I do? Imishum tenuyi, if the issue is how learned we are, and that maybe Rabbi Yehuda had more merit because he was more learned, he says it's not the case. Anana difina minayu. We are more learned than they were in the generation of Rabbi Yehuda. Dibishani de Rabbi Yehuda, because in the years of Rabbi Yehuda, Kol Tenuyi b'nizakin hava. We're now on the top of the next page. All of the teaching, all of the learning was really focused on nizaking, on niziking, on damages and torts or seder nizikin. So those masechtas, Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Basra, Sanhedrin, Avodah Zarah, etc. But that was their main focus, where it was specific to one of the 6 Sidrei Mishnah. But we are deeply involved in all 6 sections of the Mishnah. So, and not only that, but I'll show you another way to compare our learning. And when Rav Yehuda would get to Meseches Uktzin, which deals with parts of fruit and whether the stems and things become tamei or not. So, and he would get to the first Mishnah in Uktzin, which says, Ha'isha shekoveshes yerek b'kedera, that a woman who's pickling a vegetable, she's preserving it by putting it in a pot, and basically it softens up, and the stem, it comes off easily. So then the question is the stem still considered part of the fruit, so that if somebody who's tamei touches the stem, does it make the whole fruit tamei, or are they now separate? That's the discussion there. So when he would get to that Mishnah of Amrila, and some say it was the 2nd chapter of Uktzin, where it says Zeisim shekavsham b'tarfeyen, olives that are pickled, that are preserved with their stem, I think. So taharin, it says that the fruit itself is tar if the stem is in contact with something tamei, but the fruit remains tar, the olive remains tar. But in any event, when Rabbi Yehuda would reach these Mishnahs in Meseches Uktzin, in Tractate Uktzin, Amar, he would say, Havayos de Rabu Shmuel kachazina hacha. The difficulties, the back and forths of Rav and Shmuel, I see over here. Rav and Shmuel are the previous generation to Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rabbi Yehuda commonly quotes Rav and Shmuel as his Rebbeim. So when he would get to the Mishnah, he would say, like, this is all the challenges of the Talmudic discussions, which is more taking the Mishnah even deeper. The Gemara takes the Mishnah deeper. The Amoraim, like Rav and Shmuel, take the Mishnah deeper. And he would say that he would struggle with the Mishnah and say that, I'm experiencing the challenges of Rav and Shmuel when I look at this Mishnah. That was Rabbi Yehuda's reaction to Meseches Uktzin. And says, Rabba v'anan, and we, kamastina b'Uktzin tleisar mesifta, we have 13 yeshivas dedicated to learning Uktzin, like it's, like anybody can learn it. So you see that in our generation, the level of scholarship is more advanced than in the generation of Rabbi Yehuda. So that can't be the issue. The difference between us and them, why his prayers for rain or his fast for rain were answering, ours wasn't. And yet, he says, V'ilu Rabbi Yehuda, and yet Rabbi Yehuda ki shalaf chad mesana. As soon as you would take off one shoe, right? You take off your shoes like we're going to do for Tisha B'Av, and we do on Yom Kippur. It's an affliction. It's part of the fasting process, and we talked about in that for those final 7 fasts. I think we said that this was one of the things that was done. So he would take off one shoe, and that would be it. Game over, and it would start to rain. Asi mitrin, rain would come. Ve'anang, and we, says Rabba Katzavchinan Kule Yoma, we're crying out all day, Veleka Ashkachban, and there's nobody who responds to us. God doesn't answer our prayer. So I don't understand what do we not have that they had in the days of Rabbi Yehuda. And he says, and imishum uvda, if it's our actions that are not up to par, in other words, if you're going to tell me that we have averos, fine, we have the Torah scholarship, but maybe we have acts that aren't up to par. So he says, or maybe we don't do as many mitzvahs, maybe he's saying, but he says, he says, if anybody sees anything, they should say it. If you can tell me what it is that we're lacking in terms of our deeds, whether negative, whether positive, speak up. But that doesn't seem to be a difference. But he says, but what can we do? What can the leaders of the generation do? She'ein doran doma yafeh. Their generation is not up to par. He says it's not really about the Talmidei Chachamim, the scholars, and it's really about the common people, which the truth is may speak to the ability of the leaders to inspire, but he says that the issue is with the generation itself, the people themselves. That the people of our generation, he says, are not living in the same standard of righteousness as they were in the generation of Rabbi Yehuda. That's where the distinction lies. So he says, right, that their generation isn't equal, isn't comparable. Now, what was the story the Gemara is going to tell us? Where was the story where Rabbi Yehuda took off one shoe and rain came? So it says, Rabbi Yehuda chaza hano beitrei davuka parti berifta. One time Rabbi Yehuda saw 2 people and they were basically tossing back and forth a loaf of bread. So they were being mevaza, they were disgracing the food. Amar, he said, Shema mina, I can deduce from here, ikka sava ba'alma. There's great abundance in the world. There's satiation. People have enough food. Ya'iv eine, he kind of cast a bad eye on this, and hava kafna, and there began a famine. People seemed too satisfied. They started to disgrace the food, to be mevazeh food. So he looked the wrong way at the world in a sense, and famine came. Amru le Rabbanan Rav Kahana Braid Rav Nechunya. The Rabbanan said to Rav Kahana, the son of Rav Nechunya, Shamei mar d'shchiach kamei. We heard that you, Master Rav Kahana, that you are often spend time with Rav Yehuda. So we need you to help us out to get Rav Yehuda to reverse this famine. So he has to see that now there's famine, it's not plentiful anymore, and he'll do something about it. So Niasye de Leipuk bepischa de Samuch L'Shuka. He said you should force him to leave through the door that's adjacent to the shuk, to the market. Basically, try to corral him to direct him towards that exit one time, so he'll see what's going on in the market. And then he'll know that there's famine. So Asye, so he did that. He encouraged him, he forced him out that door. And he went out, and Rabbi Yehuda went out to the market. It seems he didn't frequent the market, and they had to arrange for him to get there. So Chaza Kanufya, he saw a gathering. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Maiha, he said, what's everybody gathered around for? Amar Lahu, they said to him, Akusba de Tamri Kaimi de Kamizdaven. We're gathered around a barrel of dates, which is being sold, which the dates are being sold. There's a big deal, there's dates being sold, there's food available. So we're gathered around. Amar, he said, Shema mina kafna ba'alma. I can deduce from here that there must be famine in the world. If they're so excited over a barrel of dates, It must be that food is scarce. So Amar le Lashami, he told his servant, Shalof li masami, remove my shoe for me. Shalaf le chad misana ve'asa mitra. He removed the one shoe, and rain came. That's all it took. He started to afflict himself. One shoe was off, and here comes the rain. That was the story that Rabbi was referring to when he said he took off one shoe and it started to rain. Now, kimato l'mishlaf achrina, when he was ready, he was about to take off the second shoe. Asa Eliyahu Hanavi, Elijah the prophet, came along and said, said to him, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, God has told me, Ishalafta achrina, if you would remove that other shoe, Macharivna lama, will destroy the world. It will destroy the world. Why? So I thought perhaps because it would bring so much rain that would be destructive to the world. I don't know if he means he'll actually destroy the world, or just that there would be so much rain that he would destroy the world. I think the Maharsha, it's like a different idea. The Maharsha, I think, said that if you would continue to bend nature, so then God would feel the need to destroy the world. Like we had in the earlier Gemara, where it was Rabbi Yossi ben Yokeres, Domin Yokeres from last week, where his son kind of forced God's hand in changing nature, so he didn't like that. So similarly here, we see that, according to the Maharsha, that's what's going on here. Hashem's saying, if you keep making me bend nature, I'm just going to destroy the world. But again, I think also on a simple level, you can say that it means he'll bring so much rain that it will be destructive. So, fine. The story continues. Amar Rav Mari brother Bashmuel. Rav Mari, the son of the daughter of Shmuel, so he was a grandson of Shmuel. He said, Aguda dinahar papa. At that time, I was standing on the banks of Nahar Papa, of the river Papa. I saw some angels that were dressed up as sailors. They were bringing sand. And they were filling up a ship with sand. And it turned into this fine flour. So he says he saw this thing at that moment, I guess, when Hashem said, I'm going to bring food. So Hashem sent these angels, and they took sand and it turned into flour. So people came to buy the flour. Amar lahu, so this Rav Mari said to them, Mehalo tizbanon demaisa nisim. You shouldn't buy from here. This is the product of a miracle. And it's best, if you can, to distance yourself from benefiting from miracles. He said, Lemachar, tomorrow, I think this is still him telling them, Asyana Arbi dechiti de Parzina. There's going to be a ship that's going to come with wheat from Parzina. So you don't have anything to worry about. A different Girsa says, Arbi de Arzanai, a ship full of rice. But food is coming. That's he was telling you. You don't have to buy the miracle food, because if you have no choice, then fine. But since there's going to be ships arriving tomorrow that have food, then you can rely on, then just wait for that. Rava ikola Hagronia. Rava once traveled to Hagronia, a place. Gazar Taanisa velosamitra. He declared a fast, and yet rain did not come. Amar lahu, he said to them, Bisu kul yam b'tani saichu. Everybody should continue to sleep over, continuing their fast. So normally the fast starts either the night before or in the morning and goes till the night, ends the night. Rava said, it hasn't rained yet, let's carry the fast over one more night. Go to sleep hungry. So the next day he said to the people, Mi'ika dechaza chilma. Is there anyone who had a dream last night that's relevant to us? Lema, he should say it. Amar lahu Rebbe Lazar me Hagronia. So Rebbe Lazar from Hagronia, he was a local from Hagronia, he said, Ledidi akaryun bechalmi. I was visited in my dream, and they called out to me the following. It said, Shalom Tav L'Rav Tav Me'ribon Tav. Shalom Tov, good peace, like greetings, to the Rav Tov, to the I guess here it means like teacher, the Rav Tov, to the good teacher, to the good rabbi, Me'ribon Tov, from the good master, from Hashem, Mitube Meitiv La'ame, that from his goodness he will do good to his nation. That was the dream I had. I was visiting and it said, I was told, Shalom Aleichem, good, peace unto you, good rabbi from the great master who's going to give to his nation from his good. Amar, so Rava heard this. He heard this dream. He said, Shmami, no, we can learn from here. Eis Ratzoni. It's a time of desire. It's a time where Hashem will respond to our prayers. Mi ba yirachmi, we should daven for mercy. We're on the second wide line now. Mi ba yirachmi, we should daven for mercy. Ba yirachmi, they did that. They davened for mercy. V'asi mitra. And rain indeed came. Ha'u gavra dichayev nagda bebeidina de Rava, mishum deba kusis. There was a man who was obligated he was sentenced with lashes, the flogging, from the Beis Din of Rava, from the court of Rava, because mishum deba kusis, because he had relations with a kusis, a Gentile. Nagde Rava umis. Rava whipped him, and he actually died from this whipping. Ishtama Milsa Bei Shvar Malka. The king of the Persian king, Shvar Malka, whose reign they were living under at the time, heard about this. Ba litzure l'Rava. He wanted to make Rava suffer for having done this. Amr le Ifra Hurmiz Ime, his mother, whose name was Ifra Hurmiz, said to him, Ime de Shvar Malka, the mother of Shvar Malka, the mother of this king, Shvar Malka, she said to her son, you shouldn't get, mix into the business of the Jews. Why not? Because whatever they request for, their master gives them, God grants them. So don't get involved with them. Amar la Maihi, Shvar Malka said to his mother, what do you mean? What is this all about? What are you talking about? So she said, Ba'un rachami v'asi mitra, because they daven for mercy and rain comes. So you see, they control things. They have Hashem's ear. They have God's ear. They daven for rain and it comes. Amar la, he said to her, Hahu mishum de zimna de mitrahu. That's because it's the rainy season. That doesn't take much, and it's the rainy season, and it rains. It has nothing to do with them asking and having the ear of God. Let them ask for mercy now in the month of in the Tkufa, in the season of Tammuz, in the summer, and let it rain then, and then we'll see if they really have special connections with their master, with Hashem. Shalcha leil Rava, so she sent to Rava, Kavin daitcho ba'irachmi, concentrate your thoughts and ask for mercy. That rain should come. Let's see what you got. Let's see if you can make it rain in the summer. Ba'irachmi, he asked for mercy. V'lasi mitra, it didn't rain. So he was distraught. So he started to daven more. Amar lefanav, he said before God, Ribono Shalom, master of the world. And then he quoted a pasuk in Tehillim. The pasuk says, Elokim, God, be'aznenu shamanu. With our ears we've heard. Avosenu sipru lana, our fathers have told over. Poel pa'alta b'meim. The great deeds that you did in their days. We heard about the great miracles that you've done in previous generations. B'mei kedem, in early generations. Ve'anu be'einenu lo ro'inu. The end of the pasuk is, he added this thing, it seems, and we, the verse just says, God, with our ears we've heard what you did for our fathers in the early days, and then he added in, but we haven't seen it with our own eyes. So that was his tefillah, Hashem, let's see a miracle. I can use it right now. Asa mitra, it started to rain, it didn't just rain, it rained ad shafuch marzavi de tzipori l'diglas. It rained so much that the gutters of Tzipori, now they changed the girsa from Tzipori because it doesn't really make so much sense, I think. That's a city in Israel, but they changed it to Mechuzah. That was the city of Rava in Babylonia. So the gutters of the houses in Mechuzah overflowed l'diglas to the Digelis River. I think it's the Tigris River. So he got his prayer answered. Asavua, his father came to him, and appeared to him in a dream. So Rava's father appeared to him in a dream. He said to him, does anyone trouble the heavens so much? How can you ask for rain during the summer? That's a little much. And then his father said to him in the dream, Shani duchtech, you should change the place that you sleep. Shani duchtech, so he listened and he changed the place where he slept. L'machar ashkechei demersham purya b'sakini. And the next day he found his old bed where he had usually slept was stabbed with many knives. The Rashi says it was Shaitan, it was the demons, they wanted to kill him and cover up his bed. Perhaps alternatively you could say it was messengers from the king, right? That even though Rava did end up bringing rain, but maybe he wasn't happy that Rava had flogged someone and killed him. He wanted to kill him, so he sent assassins perhaps. But in any event, Rava escaped because his father told him in the dream to sleep somewhere else. Rav Papa Gazar Taanis, Rav Papa declared a fast. V'la'asa mitra, and it didn't rain. Chalash libei, he became weak, he became sad. Saraf pincha dedaisa, he drank a bowl of porridge. Ubayir achmi, and then he went to daven. V'la'asa mitra, and yet the rain didn't come. Amar le Rav Nachman Baruch Bazasi, Rav Nachman Baruch Bazasi said to him, Isarif mar pincha achriti dedaisa asi mitra. Maybe if you drink another bowl of porridge, it will make it rain. In other words, he was teasing him, or he was rebuking him, because after the fast, he first ate and then he davened more, rather than davening more and then eating. So he said, maybe if you eat a little more, maybe that's part of it. Maybe you just need to eat a little more. He was teasing him, he was being sarcastic. Maybe then it would rain. He was embarrassed, and he became sad, as a result, it rained. As we saw in earlier Gemaras, that sometimes when someone was very upset, then Hashem just said, okay, I'll make it rain. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa was traveling on the road. Asa mitra, it started to rain. Amar lefanav, he said before God, Ribono shel olam, Master of the world, Kol ha'olam kulo benachas, everybody is at peace, everybody's happy, because it's raining and their fields are getting water. But Chanina bitzara, but Chanina, who's traveling, is bitzara, I'm suffering because it's raining. Pasak mitra, the rain stopped. Kimata lebesi, when he got home, Amar lefanav, he said again before God, Ribono shel olam, Master of the world, Kol olam kulo bitzar, everybody else is suffering because they don't have rain. They don't have rain to water their fields. But Chanina benachas, and I'm fine because it's not raining, but I don't need rain because I'm home. I mean, I don't need rain because I don't have fields. So I'm fine, and everybody else is suffering. Asa mitra, the rain came as a result of that tefillah. About this, Rav Yosef said, what would the prayer of the Kohen Gadol do against Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa's prayer? Ditnan, because we have a Mishnah that before the Kohen Gadol would come out of the Kodesh HaKadashim, the Holy of Holies, on Yom Kippur, or maybe this was right after he would come out, so he would say, the Mishnah says, Ditnan, we have a Mishnah, Hayam Ispal Tefillah Ketzar Bebeis HaChitzon. Here, he would say a little tefillah in the Beis HaChitzon, in the outer room. So when he came out of the Kodesh HaKadashim, I think right there he would say a little tefillah. My matzli, what would he daven when he came out? So Rabban bar Ada, Rava bar Ada, Damri Tarmaya, both Rabban and Rava, the sons of Adas, explained, Mishmei de Rabbi Yehuda, in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, he would say as follows: Yiratzah milfanecha Hashem Elokeinu. It should be your will before you, Hashem our God. Shetei hashana azu geshuma ushchuna. That this year should be rainy and hot. So the Gemara interjects, Shchuna ma'al yasahi. Ha is a benefit. You would daven for that? Adarabba, grey yasahi. It's not good for it to be too hot. Ella, so rather what he was davening was im shechuna. If it's very hot, take a shum. At least let it be rainy, utluba and dewy. Let there be dew. V'alikanes lefanecha tfilas over drachim. And don't let the traveler's prayers come to you. So according to this, the Kohen Gadol would daven, like travelers don't want it to rain. So they would daven that it not rain. But that's bad for the fields. So the Kohen Gadol would daven that it should be, if it's a hot year, let there be lots of rain, and don't listen to the travelers. So that was his prayer. So Rabbi Yosef is commenting that Rabbi Chanina seems to have the power to override the Kohen Gadol's prayer, because Rabbi Chanina was one of these travelers. And he davened that the rain stop, and it stopped. So you see, his tefillah is more powerful than that of the Kohen Gadol. The Gemara has just another addition to the Kohen Gadol's tefillah. It says, Rav Acha brei de Rava Messiah Mishmei Rabbi Yehuda. Rav Acha, the son of Rava, would finish the name of Rabbi Yehuda, that he would also daven the following: Go yadi avid salto nideves Yehuda, v'hal Yehu imcha Yisrael trichun leisparne zemizet v'lo la'am acher. He would say that Lo Yadi Avid Salta Midaves Yehuda, the power should not leave the house of Yehuda. That was where the kingship was, and the Nasim were from the house of Yehuda. Let that not leave the house of Yehuda, the rulership. Ve'al Yehu Imcha Yisrael Amcha Yisrael Trichun Lisparnes Emizen. Your nation Israel shouldn't need to beg each other for food, and certainly not from another nation. So that was part of the Kohen Gadol's tefillah on Yom Kippur. And Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa had the power to override it when he was traveling to get the rain to stop. And next week we'll learn more about Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa.